Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Warman, Esquire. On today's show, we'll be previewing the Kansas City Chiefs season kickoff for the 2025 year. Be playing their first game against the Chargers in Brazil, of all places. We'll also be talking about a little bit about our season win total bets and giving our locks of the week. But we'll kick off today's show with the maybe scuffling Kansas City Royals. They have ended up not playing so well against Detroit, but the September call-ups are here. Jack Haglione, Carter Jensen, and Lunder Avila are on the roster now. You think they'll provide any spark for the team going into the last couple weeks of the season? Now, what, 3 games, 2.5 to 3 games back in the playoff race?
No, probably not. I don't think, but maybe Caglione. He was destroying. He's destroyed AAA pitching in both of his short stints there, but he's had some trouble with um, major league pitching. He was batting like 140 something, 150 something when he was injured. And I think basically the Royals ended up picking up people that were in his place exactly in Grichuk and Yastrzemski to platoon in right field for and Adam Frazier, another player who can kind of do that outfield platoon. Uh, so I think they got the guys that were kind of replacements for Caglione because Caglione was hurt also because he wasn't playing terribly well. So I don't know how many opportunities he'll get. Maybe he'll get some opportunities against right-handed pitching. Um, unless the Royals kind of fade, then maybe he'll get more opportunities in general. But I think I don't know. The Royals really needed to start winning. They lost tonight against the Angels, which I think has cost them. Although it looks like Seattle also um, lost to Tampa Bay. So the Royals still are technically only 2.5 games out of the third wild card spot, but they've been leapfrogged by Texas, who has gone on a tear, uh, and now Texas is only a game behind the final wild card spot. So the Royals are 1.5 games behind Texas. So they are fifth in line for 3 spots. So that's looking iffy. Although I think if the Royals and the Rangers ended up tying with the same record, we were talking about this off before we went on the air. The Royals, who have I think beaten the Rangers pretty decisively in the season series. I think they won 6 out of 8 or something like that against the
Yeah,
Rangers,
so
something like
five
that.
out of 5 out of 7 or 6 out of 8, somewhere in there. Yeah.
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 So if they end up tying, the Royals have that tiebreaker, which is good. But they also will have I think a season-ending series against the Mariners coming to, which also could make or break their playoff hopes at the end of the season. So um, they're still in it. They're only 4-6 down in their last 10. If they had been 6-4 of their last 10, they'd be really in it. And I think you would say you like their chances. But they didn't play terribly well against Detroit in either of the series against Detroit.
Yeah.
Um, they did beat the White Sox 2 out of 3, but you would say, well, you probably needed to sweep them if you didn't finish if you only were 2-4 against the Tigers and now losing to the Angels in game one of that series, the Royals probably need to win the next two to stay in it. So basically every game is a must-win game almost, it seems like at this point in the season.
And they do have a stretch here coming up that is not going to be easy. Like they had a pretty easy as a whole second half of the season schedule, but there's a little pocket here that's not going to be so great where they do have 4 game series at Cleveland and then they go at Philly for 3 games before coming home to see Seattle mid-September then. So
Hmm.
there's like a 10 game stretch that, if they only go 3-7, something like that, they're probably going to be completely out of the race. But
Yeah.
uh, some of these teams are playoff contenders or at least have eyes at thinking they're contenders, uh, or division rivals, right?
Yeah.
So they really need to play. well in those. Then right after they get Toronto too, which is another
Yeah,
playoff team.
tough team. Yeah.
But they,
Um,
they do finish the season with a road trip, but it's 6 games between the Angels and A's then on the
oh,
West
Angels and
Coast.
A's. That's who they finish up. I was thinking it was Seattle, but
Yeah,
they play Seattle at home in the mid-September. Okay. Um,
yeah, they've got
you
three
like to see
series
them.
after that Seattle matchup, so they've got a little time to recover from that. But it'd be nice if they could go like 500 or over in that stretch against teams that have like their eyes set on the playoffs. They
Yeah.
If you can't beat playoff teams, I don't know what you expect to do when you get to the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So those 2 series against Detroit were really kind of telling, I think, about how they approach the games with teams that are playoff teams, and they did not. They kind of rolled over in those. It did not look very good. Yeah, but a lot of that strategy and bad lineups and bad relief
Yeah.
pitching
Yeah,
decisions
you were
and
talking about
stuff
you don't
like
think the
that.
lineup construction has been ideal for sure, and
No, not at all.
you don't find
Not even
Quatrero
close.
a drag rather than a positive on the Royals, I believe. Is that still true?
Well, I don't necessarily think that Quatrero is the one making the decisions on the lineup, which I think actually makes the organization look much worse because somebody in the organization should be either telling them to change the lineups or the decisions on the lineups are coming from above the manager, which is what I'm afraid is actually happening. And so he's more of just like a executing decisions made by the franchise rather than making
Hmm.
the decisions in the clubhouse. That's kind of what it looks like because he came from the Tampa organization, which is a stout, statistics driven basis, and everything they're doing now has nothing to do with statistics. Like their choice of leadoff hitters, the way they stack their lineups, none of it has anything to do with modern sabermetric approach to how to construct lineups, how to use your bullpen. None of that is anything from today's mathematical based decision making strategy. And so everything they're doing is not coming out of the Tampa organization where Quatrero came from. So I don't think he's making the decisions. That's what it looks like from an outside perspective,
Hmm.
trying to understand what's happening inside the organization.
You think he's a Ned Yost? Is that what you're
I
saying?
Because the decisions that are made
Or if he's
by Quatrero are
or he's
exactly the same as Ned Yost had
yeah.
done, which I think has just become like an organizational mindset that
Hmm.
then gets applied to whoever comes in
Hmm.
as a replacement for anything. They're just going to take the same mindset and then execute that same decision, which was stupid then. It's still stupid now. It's actually looking worse every day because it just isn't a good idea. It's not a good strategy. It doesn't, none of these things work. Like it's not, I mean, Moneyball was interesting because you found something that was exploitable and then you could find value in something that other teams didn't find value in. Well, you're not going to find value in platoon position players from other organizations because nobody cares about that. And it isn't a good idea. Like you need a player that can play that position every day and be valuable. Two players at a lower value, you're not going to get the same value as one good player in that. Platooning is like a last case scenario if you've had like injuries to fill. But the Royals are like primarily looking for platoon scenarios. Like they're like digging in the garbage rather than trying to actually field a decent team. And they have good players in the organization, but they will not give them a chance to like actually see what you can do because they're forcing them into these platoon scenarios. And so you're not ever going to develop these players to full major league players. Like if they're not like today that Caglione came up to the majors, is on the major league roster, and they don't have him in the lineup because it's a left-handed pitcher. They're trying to protect him for some reason against left-handed pitchers when you need to see if he can actually hit these guys at the major league level. And he can because you saw he had multiple hits off of Clayton Kershaw in a double-A game this year, right? It's like we know he can stand up against a lefty that's a major league player and hold his own. But like you need to do this at the major league level. Sitting him on the bench doesn't do anybody any good, especially the organization, and not him either. Because you may as well just cut him loose and send him to some other team and let him actually develop because the Royals are holding everyone back. It's really hard to watch. It's not, this isn't fun, Mike.
Well, I don't know. I agree somewhat, but I also think I don't know. I think the Royals. There's nobody to find that's not a platoon player. I think the platoon situation right now is kind of out of necessity. But yeah, like you said, maybe you can stick Caglione in there as uh, the guy, or maybe you can stick. Yeah, I don't know. Yastrzemski's played pretty well for the Royals since he's been in. Maybe you could just put him in more full time or something like that. But Grishik has done a couple of good things. But yeah, it's hard to.
But
Um,
overall, his numbers are not good. And even
yeah.
Yastrzemski, like over the weekend, they put Yastrzemski in, as knowing that he has hit some home runs.
hmm
But they they used him as a pinch hitter to lead off an inning when they were down multiple runs. So like you're putting him in because he's a home run potential, but there's nobody on base. So even if he hits a home run, you're still down 2, 3 runs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
I think if
Why?
Yastrzemski's not hitting home runs, he's not nearly as valuable. He doesn't get a lot of hits otherwise. At least he hasn't for the
Like
Royals.
most of his home runs have been like lead off the game home runs, which are fine, but like if you don't score any more runs in the course of the game, then who cares? Like
Yeah.
I mean,
I
they did that just a few days ago where they scored 3 runs in the first inning against the Tigers and they got nothing in the last 8 innings. So it's like it's just
yeah. They had
it's
heated up,
great
I
to
think.
get it on the board, but like you have to keep scoring runs. And the only reason they
Yeah.
can't score runs is because their lineup is terrible. Like the way they do not have it set correctly. You cannot get rallies in every random inning at any random time because the lineup is just wrong. It's not structured correctly. So like other teams recognize this and are easily defeating the Royals when it matters because they cannot get through these innings when they have like 5, 6 guys in a row that shouldn't be on major league rosters, let alone city hitting in a row in the lineup. It's maddening, maddening, Mike.
I get it. I get it. I'm not as maddened as you are, but I can see how the frustration is building up a little bit. I think largely their recent struggles maybe have been because they haven't had partly Pasquantino hasn't been as torrid as he was a few games ago when he was hitting home runs every day. Uh, Now he's come back to earth a little bit. I think Witt is playing a little bit better now this time of the season, so he's kind of been holding. He's the only.
Yeah,
He had a triple today and then scored on a sacrifice fly by Pasquantino. That was the only run that the Royals scored today in their 5-1 loss against the Angels. So, but yeah, it's
that eighth inning home run that he had 2 days ago against Detroit was the
yeah,
game winner,
that was
and
the
yeah,
game. Yeah,
and
he's been
if he didn't do that, the team was truly headed to another loss there too.
probably yeah. So he's yeah been he is nearing 300 again. His batting average. He'll be he's yeah. Hopefully. And the Royals have their bats have cooled down the last couple of uh, games as well. They've only scored 1 run and then 0 runs against Skubal and then 1 run tonight. So they've only scored 2 runs in the past 3 games where they were scoring 5, 6 runs a night. So they need
Right.
that because the pitching hasn't been as solid in the second half as it was in the first half. So they need the offense to heat up, and when the offense is a little bit down, the pitching hasn't been able to really pick them up lately. So
You really can't rely on just one guy hitting home runs every day like Pasquantino was doing. I mean, the
mhm,
rest of the lineup needs to produce too, and it's hard for the lineup to produce when they're not in the right order.
yeah. Well, I guess they scored 4 runs in the past 2 games. They won 3-1 2 games ago, but they've lost two in a row now. Hopefully, they can get a little winning streak to get back well over 500. Now they're threatening to kind of sink down to 500 if they don't, they'll if they don't play very well against the Angels the rest of the way out. But um, so we'll see how that goes, though. The Royals, I think, as we talked about, we neither of us really thought they would squeak into the playoffs. We thought they'd probably contend and be close. but come up just short. And that seems to be what's going on right now. But you never know. One hot streak can bring them into the playoff mix, and you hope that happens. If Witt stays hot, maybe Pasquantino comes back a little bit, or Sal, or Michael Garcia. Or Caglione starts to hit, that could be something if he plays, that could be something to spark the Royals going forward.
Like
But
to see Carter Jensen get an opportunity to start too. That would be nice because he may provide some extra pop in the lineup
yeah, Carter
as a
Jensen,
backup
Kansas City
catcher.
native catcher. He was the number two overall prospect this year at the Royals. I think Cags was number one.
Yeah,
Um,
Park Hills is where he played high school ball. Apparently, did you realize that?
was it Park Hill or regular Park Hill?
I think yeah,
Yeah, I knew he was from around the area.
yeah, that's pretty
Um,
cool.
maybe the most, I don't know, successful. Is he poised to be the most successful batter in the Kansas City area since Albert Pujols?
Probably, yeah, I would assume.
Who else
Maple
was
Woods
there's
is
been some there's
community
been some
college's
there's
own.
yeah, in Fort Osage
Pujols.
High School. There's been
Yes.
a couple of good pitchers from the Kansas City area, but they haven't really been a lot of position players that have been from Kansas City, at least not that I remember that I can recall. So um
No, no, no. That would take a little searching because I know in the baseball reference you can search by high school, but yeah, you'd have to go through like each high school I think, from the area.
yeah.
We could do that though. That could be a research project for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's fine. That's a Dr. Scaff project. I think I guess Blake Mitchell right now is the number one prospect in the current, because I guess Cagliano's not technically a prospect anymore.
Because been he's made the major league roster, I guess.
Yeah,
Same with Carter Jensen then I guess now also.
I guess, but he's still on the prospect rankings. So
Uh
according to MLB.com, uh,
I haven't really checked in on Blake Mitchell to see how because I know he missed like the first half of the season with a hand injury from spring training. So
mhm.
I heard that he was heating up, but I don't know what that means because they don't always place players at the same level they started at. So they may have moved him down even lower or something to ease him back into it. Sometimes it's not that hard to go on a tear when it's against a bunch of kids, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Although he's pretty young. I mean, I guess he's probably only what 19, 20. Because
How?
he was he was the prep player, right?
Oh,
Drafted him last year, Mitchell.
Mitchell. Yeah, I think he's 21 now. That's what I saw. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Let's see. He just turned 21 in August,
Okay.
so he was a little bit old, I guess, for his age. Or
Maybe.
not, can't be old
Old
for
for
your
his
age. Old
age.
for his level for high school, I
Yes.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, well, we'll talk more about the Royals as the weeks come along. So we have about three more, at least 3 to 4 more weeks in the regular season. Um, so we talk, the end of September. We'll see what happens. But beginning of September also means that it's football season rolling around, and traditionally the Royals are out of contention by football season, but at least they're still in contention this football season. But I think Kansas City. I don't know if you think is Kansas City have they already turned the page to the Chiefs? Because you have your pulse on the local community more than I do living in Kansas City.
I
So
think there's more buzz, I think, around the Chiefs starting, especially because you're starting. an international game on a Friday too, so it's not it's a bit of like a special sort of start to the year than just a traditional Sunday afternoon game.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so you want with the Chiefs are starting in Brazil, right, against the Chargers. Do you think so the question is, the Chiefs were very successful during the regular season last year. They were 15-2. They won all but one game basically as Mahomes as the starter. They lost the last game, a kind of meaningless game to the Broncos with the backups playing, and then they made it to the Super Bowl as well with Mahomes. Um, but watching each individual game was sort of a heart attack inducing pastime because the games were so close so often. The Chiefs they didn't win by a lot of points. They won on last second, blocked field goals, or they won on, for opening night last year was because Isaiah Likely was one toe out of bounds. Uh,
Touchdown taken off the board
Touchdown
onto the
taken off the
field, right?
board, yeah, which would have tied, or maybe depending on if they'd gone for two, could have won the game for the Ravens.
They likely
So
would have gone for two, right? So
that's what they say now. It's hard to, yeah, yeah, they probably would have.
yeah,
Um, since it's on the road, you usually go for the win on the road. Um,
yeah.
and so the Chiefs they eked out victory after victory, um, and so you wonder, can they do that again, or do they need to win by to kind of, you don't want the luck, maybe you can say luck played into it, or at least the percentages are if you win by more points, if you get ahead by more, you're more likely to win, rather than a coin flip game. So if you can get ahead by 10 rather than getting ahead by 6 and then entering the Andy Reid gentlemanly home stretch, you'd feel a lot better about things. So
Right.
I, some of this, do you think it could be related to the offense? Do you think is the offense with Matt Nagy as the coordinator, are they due now to bounce back and be a little bit better than they were last year, or is Nagy someone who drags them down? Uh, what do you think of the Chiefs' chances this year? Do you think the Chiefs are a team that are going to win games by more points, or are they going to is the law of averages going to kind of catch up to them?
Yeah, that's kind of the risk, right? It's that they've been fairly lucky with sort of injuries too, especially their top players. Uh, you always kind of wonder, hope that they can keep that going, but you never know if that's what they can do anyway. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I don't understand quite. Yeah, Nagy seems like it's more to do with him than it is to do with the offense in general, like the players on the field. It does seem like it must be something about the coordinator level that has an effect on how many points the team scores, and they just don't seem to score quite as many with Nagy there. We also do know that Rashee Rice is going to be missing week 1 through week six.
First 6 games, yeah.
Um, and it sounds like Jalen Royals may not be available for game
Yeah,
one. So
rookie
they,
fifth round draft pick. Um, yeah, might
so
not be available. But
a couple offensive weapons that I think that Nagy probably would like to have out there for game one, but maybe this focuses them a little bit more, and maybe puts more uh pressure on specific players to step up and see how this offense can run without having quite so many options in the offense, because there are a lot, because they did keep what, 7 wideouts on the
yeah, well, you still
roster.
have in the receiver
Yeah,
room, you still have um uh where you still have Worthy, Xavier Worthy.
right.
You still have now Hollywood Brown is going to start the season where he basically played very little of last season, so he's in there from the beginning this year. You have Juju Smith-Schuster still on the roster, so those three guys could be, pretty good still as top targets. Kelsey, of course, is still there. Maybe he's trying to. This might be his last go round. Maybe he's trying to go out on top. Um, so the running back room I think looks a little bit. You do have Isaiah Pacheco,
Mhm.
healthy again, probably fully recovered from his his fibula break from midseason last year. So
Yeah.
maybe, but you worry a little bit. Is Elijah Mitchell or Kareem Hunt? Do they still have a lot left in their tank? The Chiefs didn't go out and get a new running back. They have, the rookie at the fourth running back position who was a converted wide receiver. Um, so, but
Yeah.
maybe you think, well, maybe the big difference though is the offensive line, and you have Josh Simmons now at left tackle, somebody who, if he comes through and plays the way that he seems like he did in preseason, maybe that is a rock and anchor on the left side of things, and maybe Mahomes doesn't have to worry so much, and maybe it'll be and Kingsley Suamataia holds down the left guard position, makes Tooney's departure seem not terribly significant, and I think there's a lot of questions on the offense, and maybe things will be easier just because it was a revolving door at left tackle last year,
Right.
um, so maybe having Simmons there will be enough of a difference that it won't matter as much who the Chiefs are throwing to. It'll be a little bit more like the 2022 season where Mahomes was still making a lot of Chiefs are still scoring quite a few points without a ton of names in the wide receiver. Right when they got rid of Tyreek Hill, um, they still were scoring a lot of points
Hmm.
that season. Last year just seems like they weren't. I don't know what happened, um, but maybe it's the tackle position. I don't know. Um,
Yeah. So, yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see how that offensive line holds up, being rebuilt now for like the fourth or fifth time uh in the last 5 or 6 years, really, right?
yeah, you still have Humphrey uh, and Trey Smith as mainstays in the middle. Now you
Yeah.
have new left guard, Juwan Taylor still at right guard. So the three right positions are going to be the same as they were last year. And Taylor has been pretty good in pass protection. If he doesn't commit penalties, he's been pretty good. He doesn't
Right.
allow a ton of sacks or anything like that. So he's been pretty good from the right side. But still, yeah, you wonder. And then you also wonder a little bit about the defense. They're same basic squad as last year. They brought Derek
Yeah.
Notty back in that trade. Some of the secondary is a little different, a little younger in the secondary. Christian Fulton, new cornerback from the Chargers, right? But maybe they won't have Joshua Williams play so much, who seems to have given up a lot of big plays last year and made some dumb penalties. So it's hard to say what the defense. Jaden Hicks is going to take a big role in the secondary because Justin Reed has left, so maybe some of the veteran presence is gone, but maybe more athleticism. So it's hard. I don't know. It's a lot of questions remain, but I think the Chiefs will still be pretty good on both sides of the ball. Maybe I hope maybe a little less good on defense, maybe hopefully a little better on offense if it ends up being that way. Um,
Yeah. Well, it does
but
seem like we talked about the offensive coordinator position, but Steve Spagnuolo on the defensive side, it seems like has the personnel that he wants, and like he is more of a system guy than a individual player, focus too, right? So they don't seem to be like fully reliant on one guy to be the defense. It's more like, they have lots of parts that can move in and out, and as a whole, they seem to work really well. So, that first year or two when he was trying to rebuild the defense, it didn't look very good. It seemed like you
yeah.
know, it was a system that he didn't have. He was trying to, force the system onto players that weren't meant for that system, and it didn't work. And until it, finally gelled a little bit. But then the next year they got the personnel that they wanted, and it seemed like it. Now all of a sudden it worked, right? So it was,
Yeah, it
and
seems like he's
since
gotten a
then,
little better each time, each
yeah.
season under Spagnuolo. So hopefully it continues this year. Um,
Yeah, I'm less worried about the defense than I am about the offense. But I think the offense,
so
they have the players to be better, but it just depends on how they fit together, I guess. And I'm not as much of a believer in Nagy's system as I am in Spagnuolo's version of
hmm,
his system, right?
yeah, yeah. So how many wins did you predict the Chiefs to have this year, Dr. Scaff?
I think I had them at uh 12 wins.
Yeah, I put them at 13. So I have 13 and 4, you have 12 and 5. So you're a little more, I'm a little bit more optimistic. Their over under on the season was 11 and a half. So we're both over
Right.
uh, there, but I think I had them a little bit higher than you did. But we did our over unders for the entire um, league, and we'll see how we did on those. I don't know if we'll run the graphic on what was over, what was under on
Yeah.
our picks or not, but we can talk about those as we go along through the season. But yeah, that's it's historically Las Vegas is so good at making those over under, so it's very difficult to if you basically bet on all the teams to win all of those games. You can usually find one or two teams that you think maybe it's off, but yeah, it doesn't seem like it's off for a lot of them. So they're, uh, I thought the Chiefs might win 13 games. So so we will though talk about our individual bets that we're making this week. Our three locks of the week each that we've been having the last several NFL seasons. We've been predicting three games a season to talk about on the air, and then we'll predict the results of every game, including the money line and over under as well, and we'll keep detailing our progress as the season goes on. But we'll do our locks of the week today. Um, so we talked about the Chiefs game against the Chargers. The Chiefs are actually one of my first locks of the week, Dr. Scaff. The Chiefs are playing the Chargers. They're playing in Brazil. Uh, and it's technically a road game for the Chiefs, but they're playing in Brazil, so it's really a neutral site game for both teams. I don't think the Chargers are going to be any more at home in Brazil than the Chiefs will be. Uh, but
Are you sure the Chargers aren't like real big in Brazil, or they're not Brazil's national favorites?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Chargers are big in Rio, but not in Sao Paulo. The Chiefs are. So I would guess the Chiefs are probably bigger just because Mahomes is a bigger name right now.
Yeah.
The Chargers are in Los Angeles, is a bigger market, but you could say they're the second team in that market, and they haven't had a lot of success over the past several years. So if it's like new generation of NFL fans, everybody Mahomes is the you know Neymar or the Lionel Messi or the big name in the league, uh, and so I think people that follow sports in South America or Europe or whatever, they're probably Mahomes and the Chiefs are probably the one of the most popular teams right now. So I would guess Chiefs will have more support in Sao Paulo than the Chargers will. The Chiefs did play Mexico City against the Chargers a few years ago. They beat the Chargers. They're favored by 3 points in this game. I'm actually going with the Chiefs at -3 over the Chargers. I think this game's a little bit easier this to open the season than last year's game against the Ravens was, and they ended up winning the Ravens just by a razor thin margin, but they ended up winning by 7, so they did cover the spread against their opponent in week 1. So I think the Chiefs will win by a touchdown again this week um, down in Sao Paulo. So on Friday night. So I'm predicting a Chiefs victory over the Chargers. Uh, yeah, winning by at least a touchdown. So uh, yeah, so that's my first lock of the week. What do you think of that one, Dr. Scaff?
It's hard to pick against the Chiefs, especially us, being Chiefs fans from KC area. So yeah, it's one of those that I kind of like to avoid. I don't like necessarily betting on the Chiefs because it just makes me disappointed if
Yeah.
they don't cover or end up losing the game. So yeah, I like it for you. I probably wouldn't. I did not want to put that in as one of my locks at least. So yeah, you're brave,
Yeah.
Mike. That's what I'm saying.
Well, uh, I did see that. According to the sports books, I've made one of the most popular bets of the Chiefs -3. So either that's a good thing for the public that I'm popular, or it's not. So good. Maybe we can. Are we a bunch of rubes being uh, you know
Suckered
tricked
in by
and
this.
suckered by those Vegas slickers. But
Um,
I still think the Chiefs are going to bounce back after last year's Super Bowl loss, and I think they're going to come on strong and win in um, Sao Paulo again. Even just picking the Chiefs to win, it's they're most likely going to win by three or more if they win. So it's I think the Chiefs will win. So why not make the bet? It's not 3.5 even. So it's so we
right.
at least they have a chance for a push.
The push
Uh,
is on the table, yes.
yeah, a Butker push. Uh,
That should be your goal for the season is to always have the push be potential
yeah.
outcome. So just so that you might be able to, sneak those extra half points in there over the course of the season in our competition.
Yes, yes. So it
That's
gives
your
you a slight. I guess it gives you a slight advantage.
yeah.
Uh, so how about so yeah, I'm a homer in that one. I also think week 1 maybe the Chiefs will be a little better prepared than their opponents. Sometimes they are. They usually play a solid game in week 1. I guess they lost a couple years ago, week 1 to the Detroit Lions, but that took kind of an extraordinary set of drop passes and Kadarius Toney kind of giveaways, uh,
Hmm.
Guy Moore giveaways to the Lions, and they still barely lost that game. So it was in Arrowhead. Of course, it was in Arrowhead, but still, I think the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs coming out in the beginning. They always start strong in their season. So I like the Chiefs' chances there. How about your first lock of the week, Dr. Scaff?
My first lock was one I thought you might actually take, so I'm gonna steal it from you basically. But I like the in a matchup of teams that essentially traded their quarterbacks with each other. I think maybe the new teams with that quarterback are maybe better off in both of the new situations. So I've got yeah, Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers now against the Jets with Justin Fields. Pittsburgh's only a narrow favorite, -2.5 at the Jets. I'm going to Pittsburgh here to cover, so they only need to win by a field goal. I like the 2.5 points rather than the full three or the 3.5, especially, right? So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. Yeah, you're
yeah,
getting you're getting Pittsburgh. You're getting Pittsburgh is playing the Jets quarterback from last season, starting to start the season against the Pittsburgh quarterback to start the season last season, which was who was Justin Fields. So they're switching teams, switching quarterbacks. I think you probably like Pittsburgh's roster better than the Jets roster. Uh,
yeah. And I do think that each of those quarterbacks is probably has a better chance of being successful with the new teams, but I think Rodgers is probably in a better position overall than the Jets are.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I didn't end up picking this game. I do think the Pitts Steelers. I picked their over under. I did pick them at 8.5 was the over under. So perfectly 500. Um, I picked their
Yes.
I picked their over under to be 9. Uh, so I had them slightly over. I had them going 9-8 because Mike Tomlin has yet to have a losing record as a head coach. So he needs to win 9 games to prevent his first losing season. So I think I've had them as going about 9-8. So um,
I've been
that's
betting against him, and I'm done with that. I'm just gonna I'll fully go with the Tomlin uh, winning season and expect another one this year too. So
yeah. I've
I thought it
yeah
was
I,
coming. It didn't. It didn't.
yeah. I don't know who's gonna win. I do like that bet. I do think the Steelers are a solid team, and I think the Jets are. I don't know. They're a little bit risky in general. So I
Seemingly
would.
always in constant rebuild mode and that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
first
Steelers are.
games of seasons usually aren't very good for rebuild teams. Aaron
Mhm.
Rodgers is a little more senior, so he knows what to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Speaking of rebuilds, we have two rebuilding teams in my next lock of the week. I have the Raiders at the New England Patriots. Both of them are kind of in rebuilding mode. The Patriots have a young quarterback. The Raiders have a veteran quarterback now in Geno Smith. Um, they also have a new coach this first year in uh, former Patriots coach Pete Carroll, who was the coach of the Patriots, of course, before Bill Belichick took over. So Pete Carroll, former Seahawks coach, had a lot of success there. I think he'll be okay with the Raiders. The Patriots are favored by 2.5 points. I don't know if I trust Drake May at this point to be a home favorite in opening week. So I decided to go with the Raiders at plus 2.5. I think they could at least keep it close, and I think they can win the game outright. So it gives me a little bit of a cushion there. Again, it's first week of the season. I think the veteran coach uh, Pete Carroll is going to have his team ready, uh, and I think Geno Smith,
Yeah.
reuniting with Carroll, former Seahawks quarterback, is going to play well for them. So I know it's technically a Josh McDaniels revenge game. I think McDaniels was the uh, offense. He was the coach in Vegas. I think he's now the offensive coordinator again in uh in New England under um new coach. I guess it's also a new coach in Mike Vrabel, who was so it's two new coaches, two veteran coaches. But I like Carroll to get the best of Vrabel in this game, even though it's New England at home. It's not like the weather's gonna be a tough game. It's not gonna be cold. It's not gonna be snowy. It's not gonna be rainy. So I don't think there'll be any really negative effects from a warm weather team, West Coast team coming to the East Coast. Again, it's the first week of the season too, so it's not like it's in the middle of the season where they're, having to travel back and forth and back and forth. There's been a kind of a bye week for both teams already. So I like the Raiders. I think it's basically a coin flip game. So the Raiders are getting 2.5 points. So I might as well take the Raiders.
Yeah, you kind of like the having a veteran quarterback there too, and not like a kind of an unknown like they did last year with O'Connell or
Yeah.
Minshew even as the stepping in after. But yeah, I think I mean Geno Smith was really successful last season, so it seems like you've got more stability there at the quarterback position with a stable uh coach there too for the first time in maybe a while. So they're kind of expecting him to stick around for a while, I would assume, not be there for a year or two and then
Yeah.
get fired and move on, like they've kind of been doing for the last several, I don't know, decade or so, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, they went with a known quantity rather than somebody that hadn't had NFL experience as a head coach before. Yeah, it's still not going to make me like the Raiders, though, Mike. I know you
Yeah.
said that, meaning that you like them
I like them in
in
this bigger game.
this spread scenario, but
I
not
like
this
I
one.
like their chances to cover the spread and win the game.
Yes,
I do not necessarily like
that's
them
true.
as a team.
Yeah, there you go.
But um, how about your second lock of the week, Dr. Scaff?
My second lock. I'm going with a team that is uh, generally healthy in week one. In the Miami Dolphins. They're 1.5 point underdogs at Indy in week one, which I think is an odd choice. I think for spreads. Indy has questionable quarterback choice. Going to Daniel Jones, I think, is the lead with Anthony Richardson as the backup. I think in week one, if it was Anthony Richardson, might be a little more tenuous about making this pick. But with Tua healthy and the wide receiver core healthy in Miami, I like Miami at plus 1.5 in this first week while everybody's still healthy.
Yeah, I think with Tua, yeah, I think the Dolphins play really well when Tua is healthy, and Tua is
Yeah.
healthy because it's week one. So if he doesn't get hurt, I think that's pretty good. I also think that if the Colts had Anthony Richardson playing, Anthony Richardson would be equally as likely as Tua to get injured in Week 1, maybe even more likely. Not maybe not as likely to get threateningly injured, but Richardson has been injury prone before. Daniel Jones isn't, I guess, the most injury uh, resistant quarterback either, but um, yeah, it seems like Richardson gets injured in one out of every two games he plays. So, but I think Jones is probably they're similar. They're very similar quarterbacks, Jones and Richardson. I think Jones is probably a little less erratic, a little more predictable than what Richardson would be. Richardson probably has higher upside than Jones, but the downside is lower. But I do like the Dolphins coming in. It's again, it's a road game, but it's indoors, so it's not again, it's warm weather team going to cold weather site, but again, it's indoors, so it doesn't really matter. And it's also early in the season, so like there's no
Yeah, it's
jet lag or
September.
travel fatigue or anything like that at this point.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't think that's a bad bet. I do think if I had to flip a coin, uh, I would take if I had to just guess who's going to win the game, I would take the Dolphins. And since I think the Dolphins
yeah.
are going to win, 1.5 points is very small. They would have to only win. They could only win by one and have me lose if I thought that game. So I think that's a good bet.
Oh, but they're the Miami's the underdog.
Oh,
So
Miami's the underdog. Oh, I thought Miami was
yeah,
favored by 1.5. Oh,
no, they're
yeah, I
the
think Miami's
underdog. So
going to
they
win the coin.
they can
So
still
they have
lose by a point. And
you can still
they're
lose by
still
a point. Yeah,
close.
so they
Yeah,
have a little bit of breathing room for you
yeah.
then. Yeah, I was thinking they're 1.5 point favorites. Okay.
Because I assume
So
Miami is going to win, and then the fact that they actually are the underdog makes it
yeah, that's I
a
think
very
yeah, and
easy pick for
that makes it an even better
why
bet.
it made it into my lock of for my
I can
lock of the
see
week.
that. I see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So your lock of the
Yes.
week is that was a good. I think that's a good bet. Maybe I was thinking I should have taken that one, but I ended up taking another bet for my third lock of the week, and this is an interesting one as well. Where I think that again I'm going with now this time I'm going with a home underdog, maybe the worst team possibly in the league this year that people are predicting the New Orleans Saints because they don't really have a young quarterback that is highly touted. Although Spencer Rattler will start, and he was once, I guess, highly touted prospect in college when he played for Oklahoma. But yeah, so but they are playing against the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals are favored by 6.5 points on the road in New Orleans. I think that's a lot of points on the road for any Cardinals team to cover. I think the Cardinals might win that game for sure, but it's first game. You never quite know what's going to happen in the first game, and I think the Superdome is going to be supportive of. They haven't started losing yet. They're going to be supportive of new coach Kellen Moore and the
You're not
in
expecting
New
fans with
Orleans
like
Saints.
the paper bags over their heads for week one.
Yeah, you're not gonna have that already. So I think they'll still be on the on you know they're gonna be supporting more, I think, in week one. I don't it was a little weird. I thought that the Cardinals, if they're over under on the year for wins was supposed to be 8.5, which I thought was pretty high for them. I only had them at 7 wins this year. I only had the Saints at 3 wins this year. I had them at 3-14, but I thought the Saints might actually pull off this first game against uh, the Cardinals, or at least keep it close. So maybe lose by a field goal or something like that. So they have a lot of points to play with. Uh, I could be way off on this one, and I guess the Cardinals could roll, but I just don't see the Cardinals blowing out New Orleans. So I see it as a close game, and or maybe one that New Orleans can sneak up and actually win. So uh, that's why I went with the New Orleans plus 6.5 at home over the Cardinals.
Yeah, and they don't have to win. They just have to not lose by a whole touchdown, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's lots of ways that can happen. But the last 5 or 6 years, Arizona's been like a team that started out well, but it's like kind of majorly faded as the season went on. But that was under the previous coach, though, too, I believe, right? So
Yeah, they've had it, and this is the second year now that Jonathan Gannon is going to be the coach, former
I think so.
defensive coordinator from the Eagles when the Chiefs beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 2 years ago,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
or three, I guess 3 years ago. I guess the Chiefs beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl. 2 years ago, it was the Chiefs beating the 49ers
Right.
in the Super Bowl. So
So maybe this is his third year there. Is that right? Man.
this is his third year coaching. Yeah,
Wow, that seems crazy. Yeah.
time
Wow.
flies when you get old like us. Uh,
Yeah.
how about your third lock of the week, Dr. Scaff?
You went with a wider spread for your third pick. I'm going to go with a wider spread for my third pick also. But I'm going to go on the favorite side. I've got Denver at minus 7.5 at home against Tennessee. This is one of those situations where you have the number one quarterback being drafted this year in Tennessee's Cam Ward, facing a pretty stout defense in Denver. I don't really expect that to go super well for Tennessee. So I see this one kind of as a potential Denver route of Tennessee. So I'm taking yeah, Denver minus 7.5.
Yeah, I think Tennessee is going to be one of the worst teams as well. I think Tennessee and New Orleans are maybe the consensus two worst teams. Tennessee in the AFC and New Orleans in the NFC. I guess you do have Cam Ward, the new starting quarterback, the rookie. You can guess, maybe he could pull off some magic, be a little bit like, Bo Nix starting out so well for the Broncos last year. But yeah, this is going to be a game in the high altitude of Denver. So like it's one of those things where the altitude is always a home field advantage, even if the weather isn't um, cold yet in Denver. Uh,
Yeah,
so um, they still have that advantage going for them. 7.5 points is a lot of points, but I don't think Sean Payton is averse in the same way that Andy Reid is to running up the score either.
right.
So yeah, I could see that happening. I'm I could see it being a little closer as well, but I don't think 7.5 for Denver is a bad bet. Minus 7.5. It's not like it's 10 or something like that. So it's
Right.
certainly manageable.
And we always tend to mention this, week one in the NFL is probably the hardest weekend to predict. Uh,
Yes. You never know what's
I,
going to happen week
I,
one.
I feel pretty confident about my locks. I think you feel pretty confident about yours. We've traditionally not done well in week one, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that we're gonna do better this year. Our
Yeah,
season win total numbers, we did have a drastic improvement from 2 years ago to last year. So you think we can continue that this year with our season win totals? We both went exactly 500 last year, Mike.
yeah, we were 16 and 16, so um I think maybe yeah, I think we can hopefully we'll hover at least around 500. That's my
Yeah,
goal. To get
we,
as
we
many
can
right as
tip
as
over
well.
the top this time.
We could. We have a lot of the same common I think we only differ one, let's see, I'm counting them now. In terms of over under. Two, three teams in the NFC we're different on. One, two,
Also three.
three, four in the AFC, I think.
Oh, I only saw three.
Different on.
Oh no, there's one. Yes, there it is. Four. Yeah, you're right.
Four in the AFC. So we're only different
Yeah,
on 7 teams. So if we end up we'll probably be pretty close since we don't have a lot of
that
um
means one of us has to win then too, right? We can't tie if we have
I guess
seven
it
differ.
does 25 since we have 25 common. Well, we could each go 25. We could eat well, yeah, we couldn't
In those seven,
the seven, we could go four and we have to go 4 and 3.
yeah,
But
somebody has to win
somebody
then.
will have to win. So I guess somebody will
Yeah.
have to win. So well done, Dr. Scaff. Well, somebody will have
There.
to win.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking
One
of having,
one additional note though on week one. Are you excited about, or do you think the NFL's missing an opportunity by placing one of these another enormous games in Week 1 with Buffalo and Baltimore facing each other on Sunday night football this weekend?
Yeah, that's one of the you think one of the biggest games of the season between two of the best teams in the AFC, two Super Bowl contenders. But the Chiefs did play the Ravens in week one last year's, which was a Thursday night opening game, which maybe a waste. But they're doing Dallas, Philadelphia. It's sometimes basically every week though you can find some really good matchups. So maybe
Yeah,
it's not as big a waste as it could be, but you do want to see maybe Buffalo and Baltimore play later in the season rather than early in the season. But if you play early, the idea is, well, you know that both Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are both going to play, and neither one's going to get banged up already. So
right.
maybe you're lessening the risk that it's going to be a good game against the fully stacked teams. So maybe that's why you put it up early. Um, but I think a cold weather game in Buffalo between Baltimore and Buffalo would have been a more entertaining game. But also can't make all the good games at the end of the season either. So I understand maybe why they did it, but yeah, I do think maybe they left a little bit of money on the table in terms of ratings. Again, wait until the end of the season when everybody's kind of cooped up and forced to watch TV rather
Right.
than Sunday night. First week of the season, maybe that's going to get a big rating no matter who the teams are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
uh,
you probably like the Sunday night matchup over the Monday night matchup, Minnesota at Chicago.
yeah. I mean, that could be an okay matchup. It's interesting because both Minnesota, Chicago, and Green Bay and Detroit are facing each other, so it's two divisional games. So for the NFC North is playing, each other completely in week one, where you think that
Yeah.
the divisional games usually start later in the season. So, just the Chiefs are playing the Chargers and things like that. But uh,
Yeah.
it's a little unusual for both, I think, for both divisional games to happen in week one. Uh,
Yeah.
'Cause I think that's the only San Francisco, Seattle is another Cincinnati, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Atlanta. So there are a few divisional games. uh Five, let's say five divisional games. Six, New York Giants, Washington,
That's
and Dallas
one.
and Philadelphia. So seven. I guess there are a lot of divisional games in the first week of the
Yeah.
season.
So the NFC East is playing each other also.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
um any and
Apparently wanted to start week 1 with like a rivalry type, right? Yeah.
yeah. um Yeah, I think it's an interesting slate of games. I think the I yeah we're both probably most interested in the Chiefs game. We've talked about some of these other games. Uh, any games that also we have Dallas, Philadelphia. Do you think Philadelphia is going to roll over Dallas like they're predicted 7.5 point uh, favorites, or is Dallas maybe going to surprise some people?
I don't really expect a lot out of Dallas this year. I
They did
don't
trade
think they're gonna be that
Michael.
great.
They did trade Michael Parsons to
Yeah.
the Packers, and the Packers are playing Detroit. Do you think Parsons will have an impact in his first game, or does he have to like kind of build himself into the rotation and lineup and get used to the system before he starts wreaking havoc?
Think he'll probably make an appearance, but I'd be surprised if he's at full game speed for week 1. Not participating in the preseason at all. It's usually not great for most players to do that, but he's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. But yeah, it just depends on how in shape he actually is. Which we haven't gotten a chance to see that, but he and the team will know
Yeah,
definitely more than we do. But that's another one of those good matchups though for week 1, the Detroit Green Bay. But
yeah, there are a lot
I
of good
didn't want to I didn't
matchups.
want to go anywhere closer to with my picks this week, but we'll both have to pick it, but not as one of our locks.
Yeah, there are quite a few interesting matchups this week. Some
Yeah.
kind of duds as well. I think the Arizona New Orleans game might be a pretty big dud. That's one I bet on. Also, Las Vegas. I think New England is a kind of a dud. So I picked some of the duds to bet
You
on. I think
like to do that though. It's you
yeah, it
like to
makes
find the hidden gems. I think that's for betting especially,
yeah
right?
yeah. You ended up well. I don't. Yeah, you went Miami, Indianapolis might be kind of a yeah, not terribly attractive matchup either.
There are
Uh,
some stars involved in that, but with
yeah,
Miami has some pretty big name players, but
yeah,
by that.
and yeah, you went with yeah, we both went with
The Denver,
uh,
Tennessee is not either of our like favorite teams by any
uh
means.
but at least the idea is that Denver's an up and coming team. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Tennessee Denver matchup is not pretty as well, and even the um, yeah. So we'll see what happens. I think the worst matchup that we didn't end up picking is maybe Carolina Jacksonville, but even that one has you could say well it's Bryce Young against Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There are stars. There are reasons to tune into it. I probably won't be watching that one, but uh, I'm sure people will in general.
yeah.
Yeah. What are your regional games? This have you looked to see
Um,
who you'll be watching?
let's see. I haven't gotten I might get the YouTube TV package again. But it looks like it's 506. I'm looking at 506 Sports here,
I
NFL.
assume you'll be getting the Pittsburgh Jets game for this. I
They
mean,
haven't they haven't made the matchup, so they don't do that until Wednesday. So I don't know
uh,
who. Yeah, I'll probably get Pittsburgh Jets and then the Giants at the Commanders on Fox.
yeah,
Most likely and then Detroit at Green Bay is going to be the national game, and then probably San Francisco, Seattle on Fox, I would guess.
yeah.
But hard to say. But
I
the
didn't realize they
Chiefs,
didn't make that announcement until that late in the week.
yeah, I think on Wednesdays when they announce the coverage maps, and we filmed this on Tuesdays. So
Yeah.
um, the Chiefs have the national are nationally televised week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. So they're going to be the national game basically every week until week 7 when the Raiders play at the Chiefs. So they're going to be a national game on on Friday night football on YouTube with the Chargers. Fox late weekend game, only Fox game on Philadelphia at KC in week 2. KC at the Giants on Sunday night football week 3. KC Baltimore at KC national game on CBS late afternoon game. Um, then we have KC at Jacksonville on week 5 Monday night football, and then Detroit at KC on Sunday night football week 6. So even the game against Jacksonville is going to be and then week 7 they're not, but then Monday Night Football again. Week 8 is Washington at KC, and then week 9 is KC at Buffalo. So 8 of the first 9 weeks, the Chiefs are going to be one of the national televised games, which
Wow.
is pretty exciting, I think, for a Chiefs fan. Uh, and then they have a bye week 10, and then they have national television on week 11, KC at Denver. And then week 12, Indianapolis at KC is not nationally televised. Then Dallas over Thanksgiving, nationally televised.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football the next week, week 14 against Houston. Um, Chargers at KC, maybe not nationally televised. KC at Tennessee, maybe not nationally televised. Then Christmas is Denver at KC on Amazon. And then who knows what's week 18. But like it seems like pretty much every week the Chiefs are going to be on national TV.
Wow. And is that do you like that, or do you get annoyed by how much hatred you're going to hear about the non-Chiefs fans complaining about the Chiefs being on
I
national
like,
broadcasts
well,
every
the
week?
Chiefs, I think they've supplanted in some ways the Cowboys as the most highly rated team to watch. So, and then they have a lot of hate watching, I guess, because people don't like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, or they don't like Mahomes. But I like being able to watch all their games during prime time. So,
Yeah.
or during the late afternoon window
Well,
everybody.
you being a displaced Kansas City fan, no longer in the Kansas City area, that gives you a
Yeah,
lot
it's
more
easier to
access
watch
to
them.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I like that. I might get the YouTube TV. I did last couple of years. I've gotten that. Um, uh, we used to be on DirecTV. It was the Sunday Ticket
Hmm.
NFL. But I might do that. I might do that again this year. I haven't decided. But
Yeah.
I don't need it for the first couple of weeks to watch the Chiefs at least.
Right.
But they're
And they
still
usually
fun.
like knock something off their price too for the season long subscription, don't they?
Yeah,
As they
I think
as it
so.
goes on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get by until week, 7 or 8
Hmm.
before needing it, yeah, you should be able to get it at a discount.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how our first week goes in the books as well. Dr. Scaff, we'll see how our picks go. Anything else we want to add tonight, or we want to wrap up this week's episode of the Warren Truck Power? This is maybe a shorter episode than previous weeks because we don't have our quarterback previews, and we also maybe shorter than the coming weeks because we won't have our NFL week in review that we'll have next week. So we just have a preview rather than a review and a preview. Um, so, anything
Yeah.
further we should discuss?
And well, next week we may be either excited and talk about the Royals quite a bit, or we may be done with them and just skip them entirely, depending on how they play over the next week.
They're out of our lives forever if they lose in a row. Um, Something like that.
Possible. That is one of the outcomes that could be. Yeah.
Yeah. But you,
We're
dear
not
viewers,
hoping for
are
that.
going to be out of our lives forever. We will be back next week with another exciting episode of the One Trick Power Hour. As I said, anything further to add, Dr. Scaff, or should we
Mm,
uh, begin our usual sign-off ritual here at the Power
let's
Hour?
do Go for it.
Well, as always, I am Dr. Michael Wehrman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the One Trick Power Hour. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and or our podcast, which is available on many different podcast delivery platforms, including the one you use. Uh, so we have all that stuff coming up this week. NFL watching, Royals playoff chase watching. But especially I think we're most excited about the week 1 of NFL football finally back, um, and we'll see how that goes uh, this season, and we'll have be back next week with more baseball announcements. Most likely, we probably won't give up completely on the Royals, even if they do um, wet the bed against. These other their current opponents. But I think they'll continue to kind of flounder and just stay just enough in the race for us to keep tabs on them. And I think we'll keep tabs on them even if they drop out of the playoff hunt. But spend less time on the Royals than we will on NFL football, which next week we will both review week 1 and preview week 2 with our locks of the week. And we will go over, of course, our locks of the week and see how lucky or unlucky we were. Uh, and Yeah, that's always something I think we like. I think dissecting the week after is something that was maybe one of our most fun things to do on the Power Hour and talk about our bad beats and or our victories and how it wasn't our bets that were wrong. It was simply the players did not execute well enough to uh, you know ensure that our perfect bets were in fact perfect. But
Exactly.
that'll be left for next week. Maybe hopefully we'll both be 3-0 coming off this week's week 1 and then continue our winning ways into week 2. But we'll see how that goes. But anyway, we thank you for your viewership and your listenership, and we wish you the best of luck if in your making your bets this weekend, as long as your bets do not conflict with ours. This is our first real week where we've come up with the we wish you the best, except when your interests conflict with ours, and so we don't want you to do well if you're betting Chargers +3 or Tennessee +7.5 or something like that. So we're only we're wishing good things. If you're, yeah, maybe you're betting an over under here or there, or maybe you're betting um, on Buffalo, Buffalo and Baltimore or something like that. That big game on Sunday night. So, but we'll report back on all those games and many more next week and preview week 2 next week as well. So until then, we'll see you then. And oops, I kind of messed up there. Un Until then,
Yeah.
we'll wish you a good day. That's what I should say. We'll wish you a good day.